For those who don't follow Reliving the War, welcome to this WrestleMania 2000 video review. For those who tune in each and every week, welcome to another landmark night in our entire Reliving the War journey. It's the 2nd of April 2000. WrestleMania takes place in the Anaheim Pond once again in California. It's been a rough old journey to our main event tonight, but Triple H is going to defend the WWF title against The Rock, The Big Show and Mick Foley in a fatal four-way match, but we'll talk about that a bit later on. Just over 19,500 are inside the pond tonight. An estimated 824,000 are watching on pay-per-view, which is just insane when you think about it. And fans had the choice of buying WrestleMania 2000 as a standalone pay-per-view, or they could pay a little extra for WrestleMania all day long. This option included a special 12-hour presentation before the show began that covered matches and moments from previous WrestleMania events. We are opening up tonight with the Godfather and D'Lo versus the Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan. And one of the best things about this whole WrestleMania has unfortunately been cut out of the network version of the show. Actually, do we now call these the Netflix versions? Anyway, Ice-T sang Pimpin' Ain't Easy from the WWF Aggression album as Godfather and D'Lo made their way down to the ring. It's one of the moments I remember most fondly from this WrestleMania because, well, come on, the original gangsta himself at WrestleMania. But if you want to see this performance nowadays, you'll need to hunt down a live copy of Mania or the original VHS. Bull Buchanan and the Big Boss Man is a brand new team in the WWF who only got together 2 weeks ago, so let's see if they could put some hard time on our two hole-pushing babyfaces. Buchanan and D'Lo start us off, and what a ton of pressure right here for the newcomer. Bull's only been on TV for a few weeks, and here he is opening up WrestleMania. D'Lo doesn't hold back when he shouts "You suck" into Bull's face before tagging in the Godfather. In some double team action from D'Lo and the Godfather keep Bull on the canvas. Buchanan hasn't really done anything so far, and he ends up tagging out when the Godfather misses an elbow drop. As Godfather goes to work on the Boss Man, JR says Big Bubba's WrestleMania record is, and I quote, sparkling. If you consider hanging from a noose in a Hell in a Cell match sparkling, then I guess Jim Ross is absolutely right. A big heel kick puts Boss Man down just before D'Lo and Bull come back in, and the newcomer's finally able to show off a little when he performs a top rope clothesline. Great agility here from Bull Buchanan. Bossman and Buchanan are then able to show off some double team work of their own before the big man pulls off an axe kick. Godfather and D'Lo are on the back foot here, and the heels are showing a lot of promise. That was until Bossman missed a back elbow by a mile, but we'll pretend that didn't happen. D'Lo gets put in a bear hug, the crowd chant his name and they try to will the apprentice pimp back into the match. He fights out only to take another back elbow, and the heels work together to perform a double axe handle. You can tell that Buchanan and Bossman needed to spend more time together in the ring for sure. Their double team offense is quite basic. It's effective, but basic. D'Lo takes backbreakers from both of his opponents. Bull heads upstairs, but Godfather's able to stop his aerial offense by shaking the ropes. D'Lo wakes up to perform a top rope Hurricane Rana, and then comes the Godfather to clean house. The crowd loves seeing Godfather go to work here, and they think it's all over after a whole train. But Godfather tags in D'Lo for a lowdown that Buchanan manages to stop. Godfather ends up fighting Bull on the outside. D'Lo takes a Bossman slam. Bull gets tagged in and he wins it after a top rope leg drop. Not a great opener at all, unfortunately. Not only did the heel team need to work on their chemistry a bit more, but opening up Mania with a fun, crowd-pleasing tag team like the Godfather and D'Lo taking a loss to an inexperienced newcomer in Bull Buchanan, it just doesn't feel right, you know. Stephanie McMahon won the WWF Women's Championship on SmackDown this past week. She's sitting with her husband backstage. They're both holding their championship belts. And Triple H says the McMahon-Helmsley era are going to put on the biggest WrestleMania of all time. Next up, we've got a hardcore battle royal for the WWF Hardcore title. Young Crash Holly's in a lot of trouble. Tim White went through the rules a little earlier on, and he let the participants know that there's a 15-minute time limit in this next match. There can be multiple title changes in this match, but whoever's the hardcore champion when the time limit expires will leave WrestleMania with the belt. So pinfalls and submissions count here. There's no over-the-top elimination rule. We've got Taz, Viscera, Hell Yeah, the Mean Street Posse, Hardcore Holly, Kaientai, the Headbangers, the APA, and champion Crash Holly competing in this bout. And within the first 30 seconds of the match beginning, Taz pins Crash to win the Hardcore belt. Crash, or anyone else who gets pinned, is still allowed to compete in this Battle Royal, so Crash does have the opportunity to win his belt back. Viscera then wins the championship after a falling power slam to Taz on the outside. Big Vis then joins the other competitors brawling at the ringside area. Everyone gangs up on the big man with the Main Street Posse and the Acolytes doing the most damage. And on the other side of the ring, Crash gets busted open by his older cousin Hardcore. Viscera remains champion for the next few minutes. It's a wild brawl on the outside here with loads of weapon shots getting dished out. Poor Pete Gas gets busted open pretty badly in the middle of the chaos, and Viscera does well to hold his own before getting back in the ring. A few competitors try to take the big man out. It's the APA who end up doing the most damage as they throw Vis off the top rope before Bradshaw connects with a top rope shoulder block. The Acolytes then throw Kaientai on top of Viscera, and Funaki's announced as the new champion, something that Taka Michinoku isn't too happy about. Funaki decides to run away. He sprints back up the ramp while everyone gives chase. And backstage, a WrestleMania miracle takes place when Godly Rodney pins Funaki to win the Hardcore title. Best WrestleMania ever. You think that's good? Joey Abs pins Rodney 24 seconds later and he too becomes Hardcore champion. A fantastic night for the Mean Street Posse. Unfortunately, our boy loses the belt moments later to Thrasher, but when the competitors make it back to the rampway, a bloody Pete Gas pins the Headbanger to win the gold. It really can't get any better. What a warrior Pete Gas really is. Taz wins the gold once again with over 4 minutes left on the clock, and the final moments of the match take place inside the ring as the Holly Cousins fight Taz and each other. Hardcore gets taken out of the equation, allowing Crash to win the title once again after smacking Taz with a bacon tray. We now have 35 seconds left on the clock, but 10 seconds later Taz applies the Taz mission. Crash has to hold on just a little while longer. He almost survives until the end, but Hardcore runs in to smash a jar over Crash's head, and the ending gets totally messed up. Hardcore covers Crash at the 4-second mark. The referee counts 1, he counts 2. Crash doesn't get his shoulder up, but the referee doesn't slap the mat either for a third time. And then the clock runs out. It's a complete mess for the finish and no one knows what's going on. Crash grabs his Hardcore belt. The referee didn't count to 3 after all, but Hardfinkel announces that Hardcore Holly's the new Hardcore champion and Crash has no choice but to hand the belt over. So officially, Hardcore Holly is the winner of the Battle Royal. Clearly the clock was supposed to expire before the 3 count and the ending was just badly timed. The botch will get rectified on Raw tomorrow, but things like this really shouldn't happen at WrestleMania. Al Snow and Steve Blackman have been a really entertaining team on WWF TV recently, and tonight they're taking on TNA, a new tag team that was formed 2 weeks ago on Raw when Trish Stratus made her Monday night debut. Al's talking to someone in the restroom. Apparently, whoever's behind that door is going to be part of the greatest WrestleMania entrance of all time, and Steve warns Snow that there better not be any dicking about tonight. This is WrestleMania, this is serious. Sensei needs to fix a leak in the dojo basement, so the boys need to focus on one thing: winning this match. Al says Blackman has nothing to worry about, even though whoever's behind that door is taking one mean shit. The world's greatest tag team make their entrance, and of course, Al Snow lied. He introduces Blackman and everyone else to Chester McCheeserton, a human block of cheese that Al says has a better entrance than Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. Blackman has to do everything in his power not to unleash Shin Blackman as Snow leads a "Let's Go Head Cheese" chant, and Chester smacks his cheesy little ass. But Steve will get the chance to release all his anger after Test and Albert make their way down to the ring. The match starts off, and while Steve misses an enziguri, he does land a standing sidekick. JR's headset screws up here and Jerry Lawler has to go solo for a little while as Al Snow comes in. And TNA shows some double teamwork with a corner clothesline followed by a big boot. Snow fights back with a clothesline to Albert followed by an enziguri of his own. And in comes Blackman with a hard shoulder block. This one was a little tasty, and so Albert got some revenge moments later. A sweep from Blackman makes Albert fall flat on his face. The match breaks down for a moment. Steve has to save his partner when Albert goes for a press slam, and the match settles down again to Al Snow and Albert. We see Chester standing on the outside watching the match with a lot of interest. Kinda weird seeing the beautiful Trish Stratus standing there beside a block of cheese with its ass cheeks exposed. Our cheesy friend gets a bit frisky with Trish and Jerry Lawler calls him Chester the Molester. Not that Jerry would know anything about that. Steve Blackman messes Albert up before Snow comes back in with a big top rope sledge. Tess comes in to clean house and Snow takes a big sidewalk slam. TNA pull off a double powerbomb, but Steve comes in to save the day. On the outside, we see an Asai moonsault from Al Snow that gets a good reaction from the audience. The crowd hasn't been all that loud tonight so far, but they did enjoy moments from the Battle Royal. Back in the ring, Snow and Blackman pull off their backbreaker leg drop finisher, but it's easily broken up by Albert. So if you've been watching Raw over the past few weeks, you pretty much know that this one's over. TNA show off what they can do when Albert press slams his partner on top of Stevie, and our match ends with another press slam from Albert to Blackman followed by a test elbow drop. Nothing wrong with the action in the ring, this one just lacked heat, and again, the outcome of the match wasn't exactly crowd pleasing. Blackman and Snow have been doing some great comedy work on Raw, and they get rewarded with a loss here to two guys who were randomly paired up a fortnight ago. After the bell, Snow apologises to Al. He admits that Chester McCheeserton was a stupid idea, and so he puts his cheesy buddy into the ring and he lets Blackman beat the crap out of him. Chester takes a WrestleMania motherfucker kick and Al even gets in on the action too. So all's well that ends well, I guess. Mae Young and Miss Kitty go through the old cover your private parts with conveniently placed random objects routine backstage. I do wonder how many times they had to record this because there's no way this was done live. Some absolute mooncats in the comments right now saying actually it was live as confirmed by a shoot interview recorded in 2002 while getting Doritos all over the fucking keyboard. We've got a triangle ladder match next for the WWF Tag Team titles. The Dudley Boyz defending their belts against Edge and Christian, and the Hardy Boys. You go into this one expecting big things, and yes, finally, we now have a match that's worthy of being called a WrestleMania classic. Devon admits to being afraid of heights, but he won't let that stop the Dudley Boyz winning this match. Bubba says he and Devon are going to take WrestleMania and the ladder match itself to a whole new level. And what's great about this upcoming match is that anyone could win it. It feels unpredictable, seeing as all three teams have been booked so well over the past few months. We're already brawling at the entranceway after the opening bell, and it's just chaos as JR explains that there's no tags here at all. The first team to secure the tag belts wins, anything goes, and the competitors make the most of this by fighting both in and around the ring. Inside the ropes, Jeff pulls off a corkscrew moonsault. Bubba replies with a Bubba bomb, and the ladders then get brought into the ring as all competitors get inside the ropes to begin some serious high-risk offense. Poetry in motion from the Hardys puts Bubba in his place. Christian doesn't have such luck. Matt performs an elbow drop while Devon's on top of the ladder, but Jeff isn't so fortunate when he tries a 450 on Bubba. And if that wasn't bad enough, Bubba follows up with a top rope senton onto Jeff, which must have hurt Bubba too, and immediately afterwards Edge drops a ladder on top of brother Matt. There's already been enough career shortening moves in this match, but we are far from over. Bubba performs the old helicopter spin while using the ladder. This backfires when Edge and Christian pull off a double dropkick, and Bubba's partner doesn't get off lightly either after he gets dropped on a ladder perched up in the corner. Things then get ridiculous when Christian performs a crossbody from the ladder to the outside, and Edge stops Jeff from winning the match by performing a top rope spear. The crowd are going nuts, and it's now starting to feel a bit more like WrestleMania. Not to be outdone, Matt Hardy stops Edge from climbing the ladder with a sit-down crucifix powerbomb. Christian then stops Devon by throwing the ladder into his back. Bubba then sets up a few new ladders as Christian tries to grab the belts, and Bubba pulls off a cutter from the top of the ladder. Of all the moves we have seen so far, this one gets the biggest pop and it makes the crowd jump from their seats. Incredible stuff. Tandem aerial offense from the Hardy Boys keeps the excitement levels high, and JR reiterates how dangerous this match is as ladders get rearranged again. Edge and Christian pull off a double superplex to Devon and the Dudley Boy convulses after impact. And so the Hardys, Edge and Christian climb up the ladders in an effort to win this thing once and for all. Neither team has any luck, all 4 men get wiped out. This is the best chance the Dudley Boyz have had so far, so they get back in the ring and they try to soften their opponents up. Unfortunately, they take way too long and we end up in a situation where every competitor's on top of a ladder. Christian and Jeff are the first to go as their ladder gets pushed and the boys fall right out of the ring. And this is enough to give Bubba the fear. The Dudley Boy decides to get down and he pushes the other ladders down, causing Matt and Edge to get crotched on the top rope. The competitors get a standing ovation. The fans don't know what to expect next. Bubba and Devon have the answer though as they take Edge out with a 3D. The fans have been chanting for tables since the match began, and when the Dudleys go out to grab some furniture, the audience lose their minds. Bubba and Devon create a platform by putting a table on top of 2 ladders. The Dudleys want to use this so they can easily grab those belts, but they get stopped by the Hardys. This gets a round of boos, by the way. So Bubba and Devon take care of Matt and Jeff. They then set up a few extra tables both in and out of the ring. And while Devon ends up putting himself through a table while trying to splash, Bubba has a little more luck when powerbombing Matt from the announce desk. Bubba wants Devon to grab the belts while he keeps the other guys in check on the outside. Jeff tries to run the barricade, but he ends up getting a ladder in the face for his efforts. But this doesn't stop Jeff from getting up and continuing the fight. He stops Bubba from placing him on another table, and instead it's the Dudley Boy who gets laid out. And so Jeff climbs a huge ladder at the rampway and a swanton bomb puts the Dudley Boy out of commission. This is a moment that would get replayed quite a lot in the years that followed. Our match ends with Christian and Matt Hardy fighting on top of the platform. Edge joins his brother and Matt gets pushed off. And that's it. Edge and Christian win the WWF Tag Team Championships after they grab the belts. It's a show-stealing performance. Every team in this match deserved to win. Every one of these cats have worked hard on WWF TV over the past few months, and the fans would have been happy no matter the outcome. Exhilarating, edge of your seat stuff at WrestleMania 2000. This one's gonna be hard to beat. In tonight's main event, every competitor in the Fatal 4-Way has a McMahon in their corner, and it was Linda McMahon who was responsible for bringing Mick Foley back for this one-night-only appearance at WrestleMania 2000. Linda says she's happy that Mick's getting to live his dream by competing in the Mania main event, and Mick says he's getting a second chance to make a last impression tonight. This is a fairy tale for Mick Foley, and the fairy tale will come true for Mick in the Fatal 4-Way match. Next up, it's the only singles match we've got on this show, Terri Runnels versus the Cat. This one's billed as a cat fight, you gotta throw your opponent out of the ring to win, and we've also got a special referee, Val Venis. Venus says Mania comes only once a year, but Val comes every single night. Easy, low-hanging fruit right there, Mr. Valboski. And here comes Terri Runnels, accompanied to the ring by that dirty old haggard bastard, the Fabulous Moolah. Mae Young accompanies the Cat to the ring, and in short, this match sucked. It was insanely bad, and if you want to pick out a match to show how bad the women's division was during this time period, look no further. The competitors try to get on the referee's good side in the early going, and moments later, Val kisses both girls. After the competitors roll around for a while, Mae Young sticks Venus's hand up her top, so I guess she's already gotten over Mark Henry. Moolah and May try to get involved in the match, and this leads to Venus getting a big smooch from Miss Young. While distracted in this disgusting manner, the Fabulous Moolah is able to pull the Cat out of the ring, and when the lip lock gets released, Venus awards the match to Terri. Terri wins one of the worst matches in WrestleMania history, and if that's not bad enough, we get to see Mae Young pull off a Bronco Buster. It also wouldn't be a WWF's women's match without someone getting their clothes ripped off, so Terri shows some skin against her will, and that's how it ended. Just when you think Mania's getting on the right track, the show sinks to its lowest point. But we can maybe get a little redemption in our next match. It's Too Cool and Chyna taking on the Radicalz, consisting of Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, and Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero's been keeping an eye on Chyna. He knows Chyna can't resist his Latino heat. The ninth wonder of the world feels a little sick when she hears this in the backstage area, so she and Too Cool head to the ring to put Eddie in his place. Over the past few months, Too Cool have seriously grown in popularity, and the fans in Anaheim love seeing the Grandmaster and Scotty come down to the ring with Chyna. But I want to pay attention to the Radicalz here. This is their big chance to shine at WrestleMania, and it's also time for Eddie to get a little redemption after re-injuring himself back in February. Eddie winks at Chyna. Chyna calls him a pig. Can Chyna resist Eddie's Latino heat? Well, let's find out. The match begins and Eddie's clearly infatuated with Chyna. Scotty's able to monkey flip Guerrero across the ring, and after a little moonwalk, Scotty tags in Chyna. Eddie decides to run away and he tags in Dino Machino, and Dean takes a clothesline from Chyna before Scotty gives his partner a hand from the apron. The Grandmaster gets tagged in, we see a double suplex from Christopher and Chyna, and when Grandmaster Sexay wants Chyna to join him for a little dance, Chyna happily complies. The fans love this stuff, and you gotta admit, it is kinda fun seeing Chyna lighten up after spending so much time being all serious. Speaking of lightening up, Saturn takes the Grandmaster's do-rag, and yeah, it suits you, mate. The do-rag possesses insane magical powers and it allows Saturn to stay in control, but he takes it off so he can tag in Latino heat once again. The Grandmaster gets suplexed, Scotty Too Hottie gets dropped across the top rope, Eddie shoots a look at Chyna, and Jerry Lawler thinks Chyna might be feeling the heat and she might be getting, and I quote, moist. Yeah. We see Eddie's apron sent on, and Guerrero's clearly trying to impress Chyna. And when the Grandmaster tries to get in the ring to smack Eddie across the face, Guerrero decides to take Chyna out. A lovely way to show some affection, I'm sure. Too Cool work together and Eddie gets suplexed out of the ring. Saturn and Malenko get inside the ropes, but Too Cool easily take them out. And the fans get on their feet for the worm. Scotty's able to bring some pain to both Saturn and Malenko. And I'm gonna be a real stuck up asshole here and say I wish Dean and Saturn were given a chance to show what they could actually do here. I really enjoy Too Cool's work, and every week on Reliving the War I'm rediscovering just how over they were as a tag team. But WWF fans have simply not seen what Dean, Saturn and even Guerrero can really do yet. And it sucks because every one of these guys could out-wrestle the majority of the WWF roster. Chyna puts her hands on the referee, so Jack Doan waistlocks her and she gets pulled away from Eddie. Saturn gets tagged in next and he performs a standing sidekick before going up for the elbow drop. He was a bit too safe here and he missed by a mile. Yeah, I feel like a bit of a dick now for putting these guys over, but trust me, Saturn is insanely good. Eddie's back in, he takes a superplex. After a long struggle, Chyna gets tagged in and now Eddie's in deep trouble. So he crawls to his corner, Chyna takes out Saturn and Malenko with a double clothesline. Eddie manages to avoid Chyna again, and so she decides to deliver body slams to both Perry and Stenko Malenko. She then pulls off handspring back elbows on both Radicalz, something that gets the crowd going crazy, before hitting both men with low blows. Eddie's able to smack Chyna while his Radical teammates nurse their broken nuts, and when Eddie goes for a powerbomb, Chyna reverses into a powerbomb of her own. Our match then ends with Chyna grabbing Eddie right by his Latino heat before delivering a press slam. Poor Eddie's getting more than he bargained for here. And Guerrero does the JOB at the PPV after taking Chyna's sleeper slam. A fun match here. I do wish the Radicalz got a bit more time to shine, but still, it was a decent match. I'm just not sure if it was WrestleMania worthy. Eddie and Chyna are going to go on to do some pretty amazing things soon in the WWF. Too Cool are already super popular, so where does that leave Saturn and Malenko? A fan named Bridget Binder entered the WrestleMania All Day Long contest to win tickets to the Anaheim Pond. She smokes a few cigarettes while holding her kid before getting sent off to California in the WWF private jet. And her husband looks like he shoots overgrown rats with an unlicensed shotgun, but who am I to judge? I'm not jealous at all. Backstage, Shane McMahon says the Helmsley-McMahon era is passé. The Vince McMahon days are over. The Big Show and Shane O'Mac era begins tonight, and yeah, it doesn't have the same ring to it, does it? The Intercontinental and European Championships are up for grabs in our next match. Kurt Angle defends both belts against Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit in a two-fall triple threat encounter. And the relationship between Bob Backlund and Kurt Angle broke down on Sunday Night Heat, thanks to Bob suggesting to WWF officials that Kurt should defend both belts. Originally, Angle was only defending his Intercontinental belt, but the first fall of this match will decide who leaves WrestleMania with the IC title, and the second fall determines who leaves with the European title. Yeah, it's a bit weird the IC belt gets defended before the European belt, and I always found this to be a little dumb. But we've got three great talents here, and hopefully they put on a good show. Kurt Angle's extremely confident. He tries to secure himself some extra security for his post-match celebration within the crowd. But Benoit and Jericho look determined as they make their way down to the ring. Jericho says he can't guarantee he'll leave with a belt tonight. I love the confidence. But he does guarantee he'll leave WrestleMania 2000 still the Ayatollah of rock and roller. The match starts off a bit cagey, with all competitors getting in some offense but no one really taking control. A Y2J dropkick sends Benoit out of the ring, but when Jericho goes for his springboard dropkick on Angle, Benoit gets a little revenge. Jericho tries again. He manages to send both of his opponents to the outside, but Chris gets too confident and Angle's able to drop him on the ring steps. The crowd are a little flat here, and I do think this WrestleMania would have benefited from a different match order. Maybe putting this one on first could have helped, but maybe Ice-T had places to be, I don't know. Belly to belly from Kurt Angle, who clothesline from Benoit. Jericho gets a little aggressive in the corner, but when he goes upstairs, he gets knocked to the outside. This gives Angle and Benoit the opportunity to do some work in the ring uninterrupted, but Benoit only gets in a snap suplex and a back suplex before Y2J comes back in. Missile dropkick from Jericho to Kurt, backbreaker from Benoit to Jericho. All three men begin sharing offense again, and yeah, triple threat matches, man. I've mentioned this a lot in the past, but I'm not a huge fan of these match types, and after watching all these multi-man contests at Mania 2000, I really do wish this was a one-on-one encounter. I don't care who would have competed on it, any combination of these three men would have been fine. Chris Jericho goes for a double underhook backbreaker and Angle counters into the crossface chicken wing, a move he was taught by Bob Backlund. Benoit breaks the hold with a dropkick before sending Angle into the audience when the action spills to the outside, and Chris Benoit performs his diving headbutt on Jericho before securing a pinfall victory. Benoit is now the Intercontinental Champion and Angle wasn't even involved in the decision. Chris then tries to pin Jericho again right after the bell, but Angle makes it back inside the ropes. And so now the European Championship match begins and Angle's pissed. He goes up for a moonsault, it gets stopped by Jericho. Benoit then joins both competitors in the corner and Jericho takes a back suplex, allowing Kurt to go for that moonsault again. He may have missed, but his rotation still looked pretty awesome. Jericho and Kurt get back to their feet, as does the crowd when Chris goes for the walls of Jericho, but Benoit breaks it up with a clothesline. Still, Jericho remains resilient and he takes Benoit out with a spinning wheel kick before Kurt gets planted with Jericho's double powerbomb. When Benoit gets back in, Jericho takes the multiple German suplexes and Kurt has to save his European title by breaking up Benoit's cover. The referee takes a bump after a Y2J flying forearm, and Benoit applies a crossface immediately afterwards. Jericho taps, Tim White still knocked out, and when Jericho locks in the walls, Angle grabs the IC belt and he smacks Chris right in the face. We are going into clusterfuck territory here ever so slightly. Benoit breaks Angle's cover, he goes up for another headbutt but Kurt moves out of the way. This allows Jericho to deliver the Lionsault to Benoit and Chris Jericho becomes the European Champion. Kurt Angle's lost both of his championship belts without getting pinned and without submitting, and so Kurt, naturally, isn't very happy. For some reason, I always remembered this match being better than what it was, but it feels like one of those triple threat matches that wasn't really planned out all that well in advance. A lot of filler stuff before the actual finishes. It wasn't terrible or anything, I just remember it being better. Vince McMahon, who's going to be in The Rock's corner in tonight's main event, reminds everyone that he's going to make things right tonight at WrestleMania. He heard his family being described as dysfunctional. He doesn't necessarily agree with that sentiment, but Triple H doesn't care what McMahon thinks and Triple H doesn't care what McMahon tries to do in this main event. Hunter wants to prove he's the game, he's going to show why he's the WWF Champion, and it's all because Triple H is that damn good. Hunter's buddies, Road Dogg and X-Pac are in action next. It's our WrestleMania semi-main event, DX vs Kane and Rikishi. The real story of this match centers around kids stealing Tori away from the Big Red Machine. Again, it's a missed opportunity to have a singles match in my opinion, and you gotta keep in mind too that Pete Rose is on location tonight. Kane and Pete have some WrestleMania history, but I'm sure you know that already. Tori smacks Paul Bearer on the outside. Kane goes out to help his dad, and this allows DX to get in a few cheap shots on Rikishi. Kane's able to grab Tori. X-Pac runs out to save his girlfriend, but back in the ring, the Road Dogg takes a stink face, and Tori then finds herself in the ring with the big man. Fortunately, she gets saved by X-Pac and Road Dogg, and when DX try to leave the match, they get followed up the entranceway. When the match gets back in the ring, X-Pac's able to deliver the Bronco Buster to Rikishi. Road Dogg then delivers a dancey punch and a dancey knee, a rarity these days. But Bronco Busters and dancey moves aren't enough to keep Big Quiche down, and the big man begins no-selling X-Pac's offense. We see a Rikishi cutter before Kane gets tagged in, and the Big Red Machine has one thing on his mind: the absolute destruction of D-Generation X. X-Pac and Road Dogg are no match for Kane and Rikishi here, so Paul sends Tori into the ring to see if she can fare any better. Fans think she's about to get chokeslammed, but instead she gets put in the corner for Rikishi's stink face. And there it is, top tier grappling tonight at WrestleMania. X-Pac gets tombstoned, DX take a loss at WrestleMania, and I guess Kane got his retribution tonight, but I still would have preferred a singles match here. The storyline definitely called for one. Too Cool comes down to the ring. We might be seeing Kane get down tonight for a little boogie, but then the San Diego Chicken also shows up, and Kane naturally thinks it's Pete Rose under the costume. The Chicken dances with Too Cool and Rikishi. Kane stands back for a moment, but after the dance, Kane decides to go for the kill, and it's not Pete Rose under the chicken costume. Pete shows up from behind holding a baseball bat. Rikishi stops Pete from doing any damage. Rose then takes a chokeslam. Paul Bearer tells Pete to suck it, which was a real highlight of this match, truth be told, and Rikishi gives old Pete a stink face. Let's move on and get this show wrapped up. It's time for the WrestleMania 2000 main event. Triple H defending his WWF Championship against The Big Show, Mick Foley and The Rock in a fatal 4-way elimination match. The Rock was announced as the Royal Rumble winner back in January, but video footage proved that The Rock's feet hit the floor before the Big Show's at the very end of the Rumble match. Big Show was rightfully pissed off, so he spent weeks gaining evidence to prove that he was the actual winner of the Royal Rumble. Triple H and Stephanie gave Big Show a match against Rock at No Way Out. The winner would face Hunter at WrestleMania, and the Big Show won after Shane McMahon returned to interfere in the match. Also at No Way Out, Triple H retired Mick Foley after beating him inside Hell in a Cell. For the next few weeks, Rock tried everything to get included in the WrestleMania main event, but Triple H, Stephanie, Big Show and Shane put up a lot of roadblocks. It got to a point where Rock had to put his career on the line just to get one last opportunity, and while availing of this opportunity, Vince McMahon made his WWF return and he helped Rock win the match. Vince has gotten fed up with the McMahon-Helmsley era, he's fed up with Stephanie and Shane. He wanted to take control of his company again, and if Rock can win the championship tonight, then the McMahon-Helmsley era will collapse without Triple H standing tall as WWF champion. Linda McMahon brought back Mick Foley. Mick's dream was to headline WrestleMania, and that dream comes true tonight. In reality, Mick was actually retired, and Vince wanted to give him the Mania main event as a way to say thank you for all his hard work. Plus, Foley simply couldn't turn down a sweet WrestleMania paycheck. Every competitor has a McMahon in their corner, and the McMahons aren't afraid to get involved when opportunities arise. The Rock, however, is laser focused as he says, it's not about Stephanie's marriage to Triple H, it's not about the McMahon family, it's not even about Foley's retirement, it's all about the WWF Championship. Tonight, The Rock's going to do what he does best. He's going to do it for the millions and millions of Rock's fans. Tonight is the night if you smell what The Rock's cooking. Mick Foley's out first with Linda McMahon. This isn't Mankind, Dude Love or Cactus Jack. It's just Mick Foley, which is a nice touch, I think. Kinda like the man himself is in the Mania main event and not a gimmick. Big Show and Shane come out next, and I can't imagine many people were hoping for the Big Show to win tonight. The Rock marches out alongside Mr. McMahon. The Rock has to be considered the favourite here tonight after his long road to WrestleMania. And finally, we've got the WWF Champion and his wife Stephanie. These two have turned the WWF upside down ever since the McMahon-Helmsley era came into play, but WrestleMania main events haven't been kind to heels in the past. Who's going to win the fatal 4-way elimination match at WrestleMania 2000? It's time to find out. The The men begin throwing down as JR reminds us that eliminations can only happen after pinfalls. This was a ruling made by Vince McMahon. Mick Foley lights Triple H up and the WWF Champion takes a running knee strike, and after Big Show gets done wrecking The Rock, he delivers a double clothesline to Hunter and Mick. The coalition is truly over as Big Show bails Triple H across the ring, and The Rock then takes a press slam from the big man. The Big Show's dominating everyone here. Mick has to rake the Big Show's face in an effort to slow him down, but Mick gets flattened by the big man the exact same way he got flattened back at Halloween Havoc 93. Triple H jumps from the top rope, Show catches him for a chokeslam, but Mick Foley saves the WWF Champion, and to repay the favour, both Triple H and The Rock help Mick take the Big Show down. All three men join forces for just a moment as they lay the boots into the big man, but Foley and Hunter can't help themselves and these two begin fighting with each other. They tumble out of the ring where Mick delivers a chair shot into the game's midsection, and then that little bastard Shane tries to trip Rock up from the outside. This backfires when Rock knocks Shane off the apron and Mick delivers a chair shot to Big Show's back, and after a rock bottom, the Big Show gets eliminated. Should have saw this coming really after how dominant the big man was in such a short period of time. It takes ages before Shane and the Big Show finally head back up the ramp, and back in the ring, the remaining competitors try to work out some sort of alliance. In the end, Rock and Triple H agree to take Mick out so they can finally settle their differences with no interruptions, but Rock quickly turns on Hunter and the crowd pops huge for this. The Rock and Sock connection kick the shit out of Triple H for maybe the last time ever. Hunter gets knocked between both guys as Rock and Mick deliver right hands. We see a double clothesline next before the action spills to the outside, and the Rock and Sock connection continue to team up in order to keep the game down. Mick passes the ring bell to Rock, he holds Triple H up, Rock swings the weapon, and Foley gets hit, accidentally. Hunter thinks he's in prime position to win this thing now, but Mick produces his trusty 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire, but a low blow leads to Mick dropping the weapon. Hunter takes it away, Foley takes a shot, and before Hunter can do any damage, The Rock gets back in the ring. Within no time at all, Rock's sent back to the outside, but Foley's able to hit Triple H with his double arm DDT. Mr. Socko makes an appearance at WrestleMania, and the mandible claw gets applied. Rock tells Mick to release the hold so the Great One can smack the champ with his own title belt, but then, when Rock goes for a people's elbow, Mick applies the mandible claw to the Great One. The crowd don't know how to react here, but it doesn't matter, because Triple H delivers a double low blow and we're back to square one. Everyone, the fans, the commentators, the competitors, everyone's forgotten that the Big Show was in this match just moments ago. A complete afterthought in every sense of the word. Vince McMahon puts a steel chair in the ring as the competitors hit each other with clotheslines. Mick's also able to hit Rock with his double arm DDT before noticing the chair, so Foley grabs it, he runs into Rock, but Rock gets a boot up in the corner. We see a DDT from the Great One, Triple H breaks up the cover for some reason. Mick and Hunter realise how dangerous Rock is right now, so they decide to form an alliance, and the crowd boos as Rock gets worked over by both men. The Rock takes a double clothesline before we go outside again. He digs down deep and he manages to throw Foley into the ring steps. Foley decides he's going to lift those steps though, and Rock gets his brain scrambled. And now it's time for the big table spot. The big table spot that Mick messed up because he didn't get enough distance. Foley laughs about this nowadays. He thought he might have seriously injured himself, but all he was worried about was potentially missing a day at Disneyland the day after WrestleMania. Triple H tries to break the table, but he too doesn't have much luck. So one more shot from the barrier finally gets the job done, but it wasn't a spectacular bump at all. It actually looked a bit sad. Back in the ring, the game pedigrees Mick Foley, and somehow Foley gets his shoulder up. Hunter takes it out on the poor referee, and the game then picks up the chair before cracking it around Foley's face. One more pedigree on a steel chair takes Foley out of the match, so we're down to Rock and Triple H. The fans are not happy with Mick getting eliminated at all, but Foley gives the fans something to cheer for when he raises his hand outside the ring. The pop here is pretty incredible, and a loud Foley chant breaks out as Mick heads back up the ramp. But Mick wants to leave Triple H with a little parting gift. He heads back in the ring and he uses his 2x4 to get in one last shot to Triple H. And so the game enters the last portion of this match at a serious disadvantage. The Rock tries to cover Hunter after the attack by Mick Foley, but the champ kicks out. So the match continues on like most WWF pay-per-view events of this era, up the entranceway and through the audience. We see all the usual spots here, such as a suplex on the ramp and the guys throwing each other into the entrance setup. And when the two get done brawling through the audience, The Rock tries to use the ring steps, but this plan backfires. Hunter smacks the steps over and over again with a steel chair, and things look bleak for Rocky after a piledriver on the base of the steps. JR thinks the match should be stopped, and I love the extra drama JR brings to these big main events. No one does it like Jim Ross. Back in the ring, Triple H avoids a rock bottom, though Rock avoids a pedigree. This little exchange goes over well with the audience, but moments later we're going right back through the audience, which, for viewers at home, totally sucks. No one will ever convince me otherwise. When the two get back to the ringside area, Rock performs a spinebuster on the floor before the two move over to the commentary table. A suplex breaks the table on the first attempt, and both Stephanie and Vince look a bit worried. Right now this is anyone's match and neither man's getting any kind of advantage. Vince McMahon gets involved. He throws Hunter into the ring post before putting the champ back in the ring. The boy wonder, Shane McMahon, then returns to the ringside to beat up his dad a little, and Shane does a pretty good job here as he cracks Vince over the head with a TV monitor, something that really shocks Stephanie McMahon. Like a zombie, Vince is able to get right back up. His son's busted him open, but this naturally makes the chairman mad. So Vince throws a few punches at his own flesh and blood, and Shane takes a few shots. Shane's able to hit a low blow though, and he follows this up by hitting his dad with a chair. So it looks like Vince McMahon is now out of the equation. He gets brought up the ramp and he shouldn't be a factor any longer. The match resumes. Hunter takes a DDT followed by a tilt-a-whirl power slam. The Rock's unable to keep the champ down for a 3 count, and Triple H is able to fight back by hitting Rock with Mick Foley's 2x4. Shane then gets in the ring, and the spot here was really badly timed, because Rock counters a pedigree with a catapult, yet Shane didn't move out of the way, and instead he gets the WWF champion coming at him at full speed. The boy wonder then has an opportunity to swing the chair after Rock delivers a rock bottom to Hunter, but Mr. McMahon runs down to take Shane out. So fans think Rock has it in the bag. It should now be a fair fight. That no good bastard Vince ends up swerving everyone though when he swings the chair at Rocky. The look on Stephanie's face tells the whole story. And when Rock kicks out of Hunter's cover, Vince hits Rocky one more time and that's it over. Triple H retains his WWF Championship in the WrestleMania main event, and Vince is turned heel once again. The fans are livid. Heels aren't supposed to win in the WrestleMania main event, you know. But the WWF bucks tradition for WrestleMania 2000, and the fans decide to throw garbage in the ring as Vince and Stephanie embrace. It looks like Vince wants to make peace with Shane too, but before that can happen, The Rock hits the ring to send the crowd home somewhat happy. Shane and Vince both take rock bottoms, and to try to make it up to the fans, Rock delivers a rock bottom to Stephanie, followed by a people's elbow. Hunter tried to help his wife, but Rock just smacked him off the apron. Still, this isn't the outcome fans wanted to see. Triple H rules the WWF main event scene. The game has now become unstoppable, and it looks like Vince McMahon is now fully in support of the McMahon-Helmsley era. WrestleMania 2000 isn't a good show. The triangle ladder match was great. The Too Cool in Chyna vs Radicalz match was alright, as was Jericho vs Angle vs Benoit. But this event is way too overloaded with multi-man matches, and yes, I know that's a common and easy complaint to make, but it's true. I'm not against Triple H winning the main event either, but the McMahon bollocks was a bit overdone. Actually, it was completely overdone, seeing as the main event centered around the whole family. So in the end, we have a WrestleMania that kinda goes against everything we've come to know about the biggest show of the year, and in that respect, I don't think it worked. It's just way too overloaded and overbooked, and it's a shame too, because WWF Weekly TV during this era has been fantastic, as you guys know who watch Reliving the War every week. That being said, WrestleMania 2000 is leagues better than WCW's Uncensored 2000 show. Comparing the two is really like a bad joke. But this event ranks pretty low on my favourite Manias of all time list, and watching it again for this video didn't change my overall opinion of the event. But thank you very much for watching. We have one more WrestleMania to look at before Reliving the War ends, so we're now officially 1 year away from the series finale. Join me on Thursday for the Mania 2000 Fallout, and please take care.